Hello again, and welcome back to Wingot Plays Nomifactory. Since the last episode, I've condensed our storage down into just the drawers and the applied energistic system, and I've made various changes across time to store up different types of metals and coal and such. And so we've basically expanded the loop fabricator line here while only changing out the data models that are present in these last two locations. We are, or at least we were, backing up on diamond until I expanded the storage size of that drawer. So we had a full 32 stacks of diamond, 2048 diamond in there, on top of what we actually need to generate the 6000 RF per tick of power. Plus, the ender pearls were also getting fairly full, and so I expanded that drawer, and I've temporarily changed over our Enderman processing loot fabricator to make emeralds instead. I'm just quickly going to have a look, because if the emeralds is over 1,000, I think I'll probably change that back. Emeralds is 400. That the ender pearls here were down to 38 stacks. They do only stack 16 to a stack. 600 there. I think emeralds are not anywhere near as useful, so let's change that one back. We'll get on producing ender pearls again so that the system doesn't just randomly turn off at some point. That said, we do have over 2,000 pulsating pristine clay in here, and that the fact that there's ender pearls in the drawers means that everything downstairs is completely backed up as well. So there's no risk of this running out anytime soon. But it's better to not forget about this and eventually have it run out on us. Most of these are currently not running. I did swap over the blaze for a while to make blaze rods, because you can see it still hasn't processed through all of those magma blocks that it was making, and then we've just added these extra ones for the extra materials as we went along. But that basically means that we now have all of the basic metals. 400 lead, we've got 1700 iron and copper and silver and gold, plenty of emeralds, lots of diamonds. We've got 1,300 blaze rods, 6,000 coal. So yeah, we have automated we now have large volumes of all of the metals, at least the basic metals and gemstones. And we can get redstone as well. We can get glowstone, both of which I think are from the witch. So you can get lapis lazuli from one of them, I think. If we take a quick look here, maybe not. Yeah, okay, looks like maybe lapis is the one thing we can't get from any of them. But what we're going to move on to, we have access to pretty much all of the resources that we're going to need for a while. And so I've been working on making the Pyrolyse Oven that I mentioned in the previous episode. If we pop back here, the Pyrolyse Oven is pretty much the only thing we've got left to do here. We have a random jetpack that is not essential, given that we've got the other jetpack. Eventually we'll need to make the Ender IO material jetpacks, but we can continue using the thermal expansion one for quite some time. We just have a few data models that we haven't made. This thermal elemental one we actually can't make for a while. And then the Ender Dragon and Wither data, particularly the Wither data, would need Nether Star, and to make that you need these various Nether Star components. The Nether Star core uses blitz rods, blizz rods, and basalt rods. You need erothium dust, petrothium dust. It's going to take a while before we get to the Nether Star, so we can't actually finish that one. And it uses 6,666 RF per tick, as does the Ender Dragon data model. So both of those will wait on until later. But other than those couple of data models, that jetpack, and we've only made one MV machine hull because, of course, we needed one MV machine down here, the advanced chemical reactor, to be able to make this resonant clathrate. And so the Pyrolyse Oven is the one thing really that's left in the beginning before we move on into early game. If we just pop in here, I've almost completed it. I just need 4 more ULV machine casing. These various buses are all very simple. They're just LV machine holes. If we take a look right here, the output bus, it's an LV machine hole with a chest, which bit of wrought iron, and some tin cables. Easy. We've made plenty of them before. The output bus is made the same way as the input bus. The only difference is the input bus puts the chest on top. The fluid hatches are made the same, just with glass. And then the energy input hatch just has a tin cable. The Pyrolyse Oven uses this new ULV machine hole and then other components that we've made before. The ULV machine hole basically is the same as the LV machine hole and casing. It just uses iron plates instead of wrought iron. And so we've been processing up some iron plates here in order to make the required ULV machine hole for the Pyrolyse Oven, but also for the Quest itself, which needs 12. I did just break the wrench that was in there, and so we just need to make another wrench fairly quickly, which I believe is in this one. Yep. And then we get all of the components we need to make a Pyrolyse Oven. Perfect. Now, if the blast furnace is there, then we'll probably put the Pyrolyse Oven mirroring it on the other side. It's currently 3 blocks from the edge. So if we go 1, 2, 3, this here is going to be the start of our oven. On top of that, it needs copper nickel coils with an empty middle, basically the same as the blast furnace. Missed that. There we go. And then on top, we just put more of these ULV machine casings. Now let's change out a few of these bottom pieces. So Pyrolyse Oven can go there. Currently we've got an input bus on the right, and an output bus on the left. So if we put an input bus here and an output bus here, and then the fluid buses, I think we just had those up the very top, easy. So the fluid input bus hatch can go there, the output hatch can go there, and then we just need an energy input hatch, which we can put just here on the back corner. And then we just need to bring this conductive iron cable around. I believe to do that, we're going to need to make some more conductive iron cable 4 times, which very easy to do. There we go. And then that should just connect in there. Very nice. And then we just need to place the remaining 4 blocks up here, at which point that should build. What have I done wrong? Oops. I believe that there was something about you can use shift and right click to activate a hologram depicting the default structure. There you go, you need to use an empty hand. For some reason it thinks there's a invalid block down there. I would have thought that the Powerless Oven... Okay, let's quickly grab this and let's look what it's meant to look like. Oh, it looks like the Okay, I've done it wrong. It's not vertical, it's horizontal. So let's break all of this down. That explains why it was an invalid structure, of course. This is why reading the instruction manual is a good thing to do. Let's change this to 3x3. Break all of them at the same time. Perfect. Now that should get us back everything we need. We'll put the input hatch in the same spot. We can put some ULV machine casings at the back here. I don't know how well it'll fit, but let's give this a go. Copper nickel coil blocks. There we go, and we just need to put, let's do this, and input bus there, output bus here, fluid output and fluid input, and then finally the Pyrolyse oven. Perfect. We now have the Pyrolyse oven. The quest book here says that the Powerless Oven is useful for turning coal into cold coke, and then that produces phenol as a byproduct. And phenol is something that we're going to require to make the next level of circuits. So I'm just going to grab 4 stacks of coal and start processing these through and see how that goes. That doesn't look like it's processing yet. Let's take a quick look here. Pyrolyse Oven, 30 EU per tick. We're providing it that, and it needs an integrated circuit. So an integrated circuit is just a normal primitive circuit. We can easily do that because we've probably got one spare sitting here. And then open the, it said something about opening the graphical user interface or configuring it or something. So if we take another quick look here, Pyrolyse Oven, right click to open configuration GUI. It doesn't seem like I can right click. What if we put it in there? No. Let's have a quick look back and see where was the point where we first made one of these. That's the processor. Was it in Genesis? I think I might have to go looking for how we configure this, because it doesn't seem that there is an obvious way. The Powerless Oven is also source fuel. Yeah, because it seems to just say that here, right click to open configuration GUI. Integrated circuit. Oh, I need an integrated circuit, not a primitive circuit. There we go. Okay, and we needed channel 1 in order to process, configuration 1 to process coal into coke. There we go. And then I think that just goes in there, or it'll go here. If it doesn't go there, then where does it go? Let's look at this. Pyrolyse Oven. Oh, and it needs steam. Steam, which we can make a fluid heater with its own integrated circuit, converting water into steam. So a fluid heater should be fairly simple to make. Again, we should already have the components. I think I've got a couple of pumps over here. I saw a primitive circuit there, and then pumps are here. There we go, our last 2 pumps. And what was it called? It was called, let me quickly go here, basic fluid heater. We need an LV machine hole, which we're going to need some more wrought iron in order to get that up and running, which I think a hole is, no, that'll get us a machine casing. And then I'm going to need 3 more wrought iron plates in order to get a machine hull. So let's just do this and turn all of those into plates. We also had more wrought iron being cooked up, so I knew that was getting low, and so now we've got another 200 wrought iron plus 60, what, more than 64? Oh no, 64 wrought iron plates being made up here as well, which will mean that we shouldn't run into a shortage again. That said, we are about to be moving into the MV tier, at which point we're not going to need these LV casings anymore anyway. But we have no shortage of iron. We now have thousands of iron and an infinite source of iron over there. Let's take a quick look. We need 2 more tin cables, which, there we go. Is that everything we need? No, we need 4 copper wires and a piece of glass. Copper wires, nice and easy. I don't know if we have any in here. Looks like we do. What are they? They're 4 times. So I think 16 allows us to make... Oh, fine. We made some spares, but that's not a problem. And then glass is over here. As I said in the previous episode, I believe it was, it'll be very nice once we connect these drawers to the Applied Logistics system and don't have to run over here. But for the time being, this is the setup that we have. Now, this basic fluid heater is going to also need a water source. Where's our fluid input? Our fluid input hatch is over here. So how about we put this there? It's LV tier. So I'm going to need a transformer. Oh no, conductive iron. This is getting LV power. So that will be fine. We just need to connect it to the power. Easily done. There we go. And now it just needs water. I think I might have some spare end of wires in here. Done. And then I just need a couple of water buckets. And we will be able to feed infinite water into that system. If we just grab a wrench, which is currently in this box, in this satchel, then that'll allow me to, for the time being, I think I'm just going to put it here. In fact, let's move that to there. And then if we fill that up with water, it just needs 2 buckets of water to become an infinite water source. Perfect. And then if we hit that with one of the right click a block with a wrench to make it output into adjacent machines. This is a wrench. Oh, it is an Ender IO block, so it might actually be the Yetta wrench that we need. Perfect. So that block there now outputs water into adjacent slots. So this is now getting water. It still needs a circuit, and it needs to output water up to there. So how about we change this design so that the fluid input the basic fluid heater is actually next to the block that it needs to output into. Put a couple of end of wires back, and at that point it looks like we're going to need 1 more bucket of water to get it back up and running as an infinite water source. Perfect. There you go. And so that is now producing 1 bucket of water per second, which is being put out here into the fluid heater. That fluid heater just needs quickly a circuit of its own, which is our last primitive circuit, so hopefully we don't need another one for a while. And then I'm pretty sure that that was set to configuration 1 as well, in order to make steam. I did think, where are you? Basic fluid heaters. I don't see it here. Tank heater. Configuration 1 plus water makes steam. So I'm pretty sure that should be making steam. It won't be outputting yet because I haven't configured it to. It doesn't have power, does it? There we go. And then if we give it power, it should. There you go, I'm seeing progress, so it's making steam. Perfect. And then we can configure it like any other GregTech machine to output to that side and output fluids. We now have steam going into the Pyrolyse Oven, which has taken 16 of our coal, 16 to make 20 coke. Once that progress bar finishes, we'll then have coke. But more importantly, we will also have 1 bucket of phenol. And this phenol is what we need in order to make phenolic substrate, which is required for the electronic circuits, the next tier of circuits that we're working on. 20 coke and 1 bucket there of phenol. There you go, 1000 phenol. Perfect. I'm going to pause the recording here and we'll come back after this has processed a fair bit more and I've gotten it set up to try to use this phenol, which primarily looks like, realistically it looks pretty simple. Electronic circuit here, second tier 1 circuit, yep, just needs an assembler with phenolic substrate. So phenolic substrate, we need a chemical reactor with coated circuit boards. And then I've made a LV tier assembler, which we'll use manually to start with, and then we'll change that into an automated system later. But as I said, we'll let this run and I'll get all the components ready so that we can make our first electronic processor and hopefully never need primitive processors again. Although I may need primitive processors just to make that chemical reactor, because I don't think I've got a spare chemical reactor anywhere. Oh, there's a chemical reactor here not being used that will repurpose temporarily to get this up and running, make electronic circuits, and then not have to worry about the fact that we used up that last primitive circuit to make our fluid heater here. I think that all sounds good, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in a minute. And welcome back. I have spent a little while and made quite a number of components. The phenolic substrate it's only 100 millibuckets each, which means that a full container in this pyrolyse oven that holds 16 buckets there, as does this fluid tank, which can just pull straight out of it. So 16 buckets means that it makes, at 100 millibuckets each, 160 of these phenolic substrates each, which means 2 full tanks of it makes 5 full stacks of phenolic substrate. We need 1 of those for each electronic circuit that we're going to make. So that's quite a supply that we've got there. The capacitors here are made either in an assembler with polyethylene sheets and aluminium foil. Polyethylene sheets, we don't yet have that set up because that would need polyethylene, which would need a chemical reactor with some sort of fluids that we've not gotten to yet. But it can also be made just in a normal crafting grid with tin alloy foils, fine silver wire, and rubber sheets. And you get 4 for each of those. I've got that whole recipe here. So if we do this, we'll just get 4 stacks of capacitors. And boom. And then finally, we need fine copper wires, which are being crafted up here in the wire mill. And we need resistors. Resistors can be made with this old recipe that we were using, or in the assembler, you can put in no fluid, a coal dust, and 4 fine copper wires, like we've done here. And that will get you 12 resistors each time that process runs. And very, very quickly, you get a large quantity of resistors. Pretty cool. As soon as that's finished one more craft, we will take this coal out and put the ingredients in that we need for this electronic circuit. So we need resistors, we need fine copper wire, we need capacitors, and we need phenolic substrate. We need 1 phenolic substrate, we need 4 resistors, 4 fine copper, and 2 capacitors. So I'm going to put in some spare of both of those first 2. And that way, it will be able to continue running for a fair bit longer. Up here we've got a fluid extractor, and the reason this isn't crafting yet is because we need to put some tin in there. 144 millibuckets, so we need 1 ingot for each resistor that we want to make. Tin, we don't yet have over in the deep mob learning there, but if we throw in a full stack here of tin, that will then make our electronic circuit. Perfect. And then with that electronic circuit, we would be able to make the electronic processor. It also needs tin. It needs 3 of these circuits instead of the 4 that the previous the first tier 1 circuit needed. It needs more of this fine copper wire, more resistors, both of which very easy to make. And it needs transistors, which we can make manually with just fine silver wire, rubber sheets, and aluminium foil. Or we can make it in an assembler using, again, polyethylene. So we're definitely going to want to look into how to make polyethylene fairly soon so that we can make these easier recipes for the electronic circuits and electronic processors. Or not necessarily easier, but less steps involved and less resources involved recipes. But for the time being, we can fairly easily do this process to make those transistors manually. And getting lots of electronic circuits. Very cool, given that previously we were having to do all of this completely manually. Now, I did say we were running quite low on tin. So the question is, how do we get more tin? Tin can be made with skeletons. I don't think I have a card yet for skeletons. I do not, but I do have a blank data model here. And skeleton, I think, is probably just a single bone, which we will have sitting in here, right there. So blank data model and a bone makes a skeleton data model. We'll want another loot fabricator, but to start with, we will swap these out. Now, spiders give copper, and creepers give lead. No, give coal. We have less use for copper than we do coal at this point. So let's put the skeleton data model in there, let it start running, and put away this spider. Also, in order to get some red, some rose red, I created this bit of grass here, and over time, as you can see, originally we had a couple of pigs, then we had a horse show up, and a chicken, and then a second chicken, and now we've got a llama. And yes, we just keep having random passive mobs showing up, which is pretty cool. In the meantime, here we have the skeleton data model, and it's already managed to make a pristine skeleton matter on its very first run. But what we'll need is we'll need another one of these loot fabricators so that we can set that one to get the skeleton ingredients that we're chasing. I also apparently never turned this back on to do ender pearls, so now it's got a full stack there, probably a full stack here, and it might have even stopped running, but now it's producing lots and lots of ender pearls. I'm just going to check on the ender pearls here. Yes, we're down to 200 ender pearls, so that did get pretty low given we were up to 30 something stacks. We're now down to 12 stacks. So I'm very glad that I happened to notice that before the system broke. What we're going to need is 4 energetic alloys, 4 processors, which I don't think we don't have any more of these primitive processors or these primitive circuits. So what we might do is we might see what we can do about pushing through to getting these electronic processors up and running. Other than that, we need a hopper, a glass pane, and dark steel machine hull, which needs an LV machine hull and 8 dark steel plates, for which we can grab that. And it needs 4 energetic alloy, glass pane, and a hopper. Energetic alloy there, 4 of those, a glass pane, and a hopper there. And those things combined, plus the electronic processor, will get us a loot fabricator. So if we take a quick look at the electronic processor, it's going to take 3 electronic circuits. Easy, we've already got those. Resistors and fine copper wire. We've still got resistors and fine copper wire there. So if we take these electronic circuits out and put in 2 extra, that will make 6. That'll be enough to make 6 of these processors, and then it's just a matter of making these transistors. Rubber sheets is pretty easy. We just need rubber, silver wires, and platinum. Or I think that's an aluminium. Let me look again. We'll grab out these fine copper wires, find silver, so we'll get crafting that. Aluminium. Good, yeah, I've got aluminium. And aluminium we just need to turn into plates and then run in a cluster mill to get those aluminium foils. And here in the compressor, running rubber fairly quickly gets all the rubber steel sheets that we're going to need. Throw these dark steel in here, grab the dark steel hole, and now the only thing we're waiting on is the 2 electronic processors, which, in order to get the fine silver wires, we just need to rerun the silver wire that we've got here. We get 4 to 1, and the silver wires, we got 2 of those per ingot that we put in here. So you wind up getting 2 whole stacks of fine silver wire from a quarter stack of silver ingots. Over here, we've already got all the rubber sheets that we're going to need, and then the aluminium foil. Oh, I put those aluminium ingots into the furnace there, which thankfully can't run. And then if we just grab a few of these plates, we'll at least be able to get it started before the end of the episode. Throw those into the cluster mill here. And over here, yeah, everything is ready. So then we can grab these aluminium foils. Wait, I'm going a step too early, aren't I? Let's grab 4 more of these so that we can make 6 in total. There we go. We'll grab these fine silver wires and we'll grab those. Now, transistors. 32 of them, a half stack. Throw those in there, and we've got the basic assembling machine making our electronic processors. Pretty awesome. And then we just need 2 of these. Perfect. In order to make our loop fabricator. And then to set this one up, we just need the same setup that we've had for all of the others. We need 2 item conduits. We need an item filter. We need a energy conduit, the vibrant. And that's everything we need. If we quickly run over here, we can add to our system the power wire, item conduit, the loop fabricator on top of it, item conduit saying only put in pristine skeleton matters, and then change the color and make tin. Then all we need to do, set the jetpack to hover mode so that we don't immediately fall, and tell it to take it out on the channel that the drawer is on. It's that easy to add a new item to our deep mob learning system. Very cool, and now the tin will start building up as well. With that said, we have gotten to the end of this episode, but we've made the Pyrolyse Oven, we've made electronic circuits, and we've made electronic processors, all of which don't require us to use these work tables with all of those many little steps. Also, everything that's now in part of the process is something that can be automated without any consumable items such as the wrenches and hammers. So that is something we will look to do, and something that we can hook up into our applied logistics system for crafting. Next episode, I think we will try to progress into getting the applied logistics interfaces, which allow you to interact with that storage, both taking things out and putting things into the applied logistics system. It also gives access to storage buses, which will allow us to interface with things like storage drawers or crates or other items, and we will get access to auto crafting. Auto crafting will allow us to tell the applied logistics system to create things for us. Anything that can be made in a crafting grid, it's got its own block for. Any of these items, it can interact with using interfaces set in processing mode. But that's something we'll have to get set up in the next episode, maybe the next 2 episodes. Stay happy and healthy, and I hope to see you in the next one.